welcome to my YouTube channel. Finally, I know a lot of people have been telling me that I should start a YouTube channel for quite some time now, actually, and I finally decided to just go ahead and do it. What else have I got to lose? YouTube is just like such a scary platform for me a lot of the time. It's just so large, and I feel like it's a giant corporation. Like Instagram is very small, community based for me at least, and it's just so much easier to manage if that makes any sense. I just thought it would be a great idea to start off my YouTube career, I guess, with a April wrap up, basically of everything I read in April, and rank everything because I don't generally do that. I pretty much just put out reviews whenever I read something that I really liked. But I decided to just rank everything that I read. I read 6 graphic novels in April. I also read some single issues of some things, but I didn't feel like it was fair to compare single issues to volumes, and that's just like that's not okay because the story develops so much better in a graphic novel than it does in floppies. To start it off, we have Jeff Lemire with Cinder, Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen with Cinder. This book was really good. It's just last on my list because I feel like I kind of spoiled it for myself because I did a joint review basically of Cinder and Cinder where I just talked about how they were in comparison, and I spoiled the story for myself a little bit. So I wasn't super excited about it as I thought I would be, piggybacking off of Descender. That's why that's number 6 on my list. Still a really great story, and it's just in that same universe, and I like stories that kind of run concurrently, basically. Next up, number 5, it's going to be I Hate Fairyland Volume 2. Volume 2 was not as good as Volume 1 in my opinion, but it was still really good. Volume 2 actually has one of my favorite spread page scenes that I've read in this entire series, in my entire log for this month. There's a part where she's fighting like these Tekken slash Mortal Kombat type characters, and it's got like this art style, and I really thought that was super cool. Just the story just felt a little bit like the same of the first volume, and I mean that's fine. Sometimes she's trying to get home and she's trying to figure out what to do, but it just had a lot of the same jokes and humor and stuff, which is okay. Hopefully in volume 3 and 4 it picks up a little bit. There were some new things that did happen in volume 2 that I actually did really like. And I'll go through more of that story when I go back to volume 1. Number 4 on the list is going to be Lady Killer volume 1. Lady Killer is super cool. I love this character. It's by Joel Jones and Jamie S. Rich. Super feminist, super awesome, super badass. It's really gory. It's about a female assassin in the 1950s. I love the setting of this story. Like, it's just super cool to me that her husband thinks she's like a homemaker, and he's kind of like dim-witted and like dumb, and he's all yes dear, and she's like yes dear, but she's like she contains multitudes, like she's just really dope spy lady. I love the way that this first volume ended. I have the second volume. I didn't read it yet, but I just really like the premise of this story. She wants to get out of the business. She wants to stop working for these people. They're making her do things she doesn't want to do, and it's just she wants to strike out on her own. And I love that aspect of the story. And her husband is none the wiser. I just think it's super cool. If it had been set later in life, I don't think that the way the story was pulled off could have been pulled off. I like how it all ties into itself, of where like her husband thinks she's this weak person that needs to be protected, and she could actually probably just kill him if she wanted to, and I think that's pretty awesome. Number 3 on the list is going to be Sweet Tooth, Book 1 by Jeff Lemire. Another Jeff Lemire title. He's really awesome. I've been really catching up on a lot of his work over the past few months, and this is super good. This is actually Book 1 and not Volume 1, so it contains 10 issues instead of 5 or 6 like a volume would. And this story is super good. It's very it's really sad. It's really emotional. It's about this plague that has wiped out basically all of humanity around the world. And after humanity basically dwindles down to nothing, these hybrid children are born, like half human, half animal. Some of them are more intelligent than the others, and people want to know why. But it's more post-apocalyptic and more scrappy than like a society trying to figure out what's going on. Like, there's different factions, and there's like a bunch of crazy people doing a lot of crazy stuff, and I don't want to spoil this book is super good. It reads better when you don't know what's going to happen. This little boy Gus, he doesn't know anything about the outside world. He's lived on a farm with his dad for his entire life, and then just a lot of events take place. This is one of those ones that you'll just sit and read for hours, and you can. I finished this whole book within a half an hour, and that's 10 issues. I just read straight through it. It was super good, and I love the way that it ended. It didn't leave on a major cliffhanger, but it gave you enough to want to read the next few volumes. Okay, number 2 on my list is going to be Descender Volume 1 by Jeff Lemire. Again, Jeff Lemire is freaking awesome. He's a trailblazer. He's awesome, and Dustin Nguyen with the art. They're a dynamic duo to me. This story is about Tim 21 and the Harvesters. Tim 21 is a little boy. He presents as a little boy, but he is an artificially intelligent robot, and he's basically a companion for people and children, and he's meant to be like a little brother. He is essentially the answer to why these things called the Harvesters came and wiped out all of intelligent life or not all of, but partial intelligent life throughout the galaxy. And people want to know why, and they go to his creator for answers. They go and find him for answers, and a lot of things happen. That is another one of those that I don't want to spoil. It's very clandestine. If you read it yourself, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, no way, like that's crazy. Story is really good. It's got a lot of background in it, and I really love that about that book. But it's definitely one of those that'll have you hanging on the edge of your seat, and it's also very emotional. And I just love it. It's definitely one of my favorite series of all time. And number 1 for my April reads was I Hate Fairyland Volume 1. And when I say I've seen so much about this story and about this book for forever, like years ago, a friend of mine told me to read it, and I'm like, that's really not my style. I'm not really a big fan of like little kids with like bad mouths or anything. But then I actually, like, another friend of mine told me to read it, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll give it a shot. And I read the first volume. When I say I could not put it down, it was so funny and it was so good. Like, I really love it. If you don't know anything about I Hate Fairyland, it's basically about this girl named Gertrude. She's an everyday 8-year-old, and then one day she gets sucked into this place called Fairyland, and she is given this major quest, and she has to find her way home. And the queen tells her it should only take her about 2 days, and she's stuck there for 27 years, something crazy like that. So she's like a 40-year-old woman in a child's body, and she's just basically become jaded and, like, over it with everybody that lives in Fairyland. She hates it there. She can't find her way home. She misses her friends. She misses her family, and she's trying to get her way. She's trying to find her way home, and she doesn't handle it well. She just goes on a tirade, and she does not handle it well at all. But she doesn't realize that she's probably just not doing the proper things to find her way home. But she handles it the way that she knows how. She goes on like a killing rampage, and she just kind of blows things up when things don't go her way, and she's rude and she's mean, and one of my favorite parts about this story is that there's no cursing in it, and I think that's kind of hilarious to me that she's like a 40-year-old woman and she doesn't curse, but there's so much gore. Like, it is such a bloody book. Like, it's crazy. If you've ever seen The Good Place, they replaced a lot of the, very similarly to that, they replaced the curse words with like fluff or like sniff or like stuff like that. Like they like fluffy it up, all the curse words that are supposed to be curse words in the book, so she can't even curse. So that must be so frustrating for her to be like a grown woman. But yeah, it's a super funny book. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but Skottie Young is an amazing artist. He's a talented writer. I love his work. I actually wish that I had grabbed some of the alternate covers for this because they're just so funky and cool, and I just really like the artwork. It's very crisp to me, and that I don't know what that even means, but I love when like artwork is like crisp and like clear, and I love that. Even if it's like drawn in a funky style, I like when it's clear. But yeah, that is everything that I read this month, and I'm actually really proud of everything I read. I sought out to read more Jeff Lemire stories, and I did that. I read, basically all of his, not all of, but a decent amount of his notable works, and he's an amazing artist. Skottie Young, I caught up on some of his things. Just some of the things that were on my list for years, I knocked out during this quarantine, and it was a nice time to be able to sit and read and reflect without having to feel like I'm on like a time restraint or I have something else to do. So yeah, it was nice, and I actually read so many more things. Like I spent a decent amount of time reading. I read a lot of Monstrous. If you don't know what Monstrous is, I'm going to do a deep dive into Monstrous. It's an amazing story. It is the epitome of an epic fantasy, and I want to delve into that a little bit more. I'm going to do a separate video on that, so stay tuned for that. I want to delve into the lore and the why and the hows and the what's of all of that story. So yeah, I hope you guys like this. I'm going to try and do this every month, at the end of every month or the beginning of every month, so you know what I read, you know, every month, because I read a lot, and graphic novels are like just a joy to me, and I love them. I love artwork and I love story, and it's just like a magical binding of the two. So if there's anything that you guys want me to check out, I am literally open to all genres, and I will read basically anything that anybody tells me to read. So if you want me to read something, if you want me to review something that I've already read, let me know down in the comments. Like, that's also cool. I have a bunch of reviews on my Instagram already at Sunflower the Blurred. I'll put that up somewhere over here. It's also going to be at the end credits of my video if you want to follow me on Instagram. But yeah, follow me, subscribe. I guess I'm so new to saying that, I don't like it, but yeah, if you want more stuff like this, just let me know, and we'll see what else I'm gonna have for you guys in the future. This is such an interesting journey, and I can't wait to see where it takes me. Okay, that's all I got for you guys. Bye.